Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We are going to talk about something kind of interesting today. It has been a very interesting couple of days or couple of weeks, depending on when it got interesting for you or when you are watching this video. And the current state of Star Wars tabletop games has definitely been in flux lately, which led me to want to talk about alternative games. Now, I don't want anybody to think I'm saying, hey, your game is dead, jump ship, find a new game. That's not the goal of this video. The goal of this video is to talk about some alternative games that you can use to branch out and explore similar game systems or alternative game systems that might scratch a similar itch or have something that I think can offer existing Star Wars tabletop gamers. Whether you play X-Wing, Armada, Legion, Imperial Assault, or any of those, or you have interest in games like that, I'm going to suggest some non-Star Wars games that may indeed scratch a similar itch. If you guys are interested in science fiction, pop culture games, tabletop games, games with miniatures, you are definitely in the right place. I love talking about all of the above, and of course where they all meet. And we're also doing a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway right now. So all you have to do to enter to win that is to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's simple as that. That's going to run for just over another week, so you have plenty of time left to enter to win that. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this. Now, these aren't me telling you to jump ship. This is just saying maybe broaden your horizons a little bit, or at least things that you might want to consider, because this one's a really big one. Star Trek Into the Unknown. First up on our list of games for you to keep your eye open for. Now, this one is not out yet. This one's supposed to be coming out later this year. This is from WizKids. Now, a lot of eyes went to this game. Alex Davey was at the forefront of kind of getting this thing off the ground. This game is designed by Max Brook and Michael Gurnis, two very, very popular names also from the X-Wing and Armada development teams of old under Fantasy Flight Games. They've definitely spent a lot of time working on spaceship games and games that we all know and love. And so having such powerful names that are over at WizKids right now that used to be part of the Fantasy Flight Miniatures team is extremely exciting and definitely had my attention very high. This is also a pre-painted miniatures game. Now, these are very deluxe quality. They're going to be very, very nice. What I've seen so far looks great. What I have in my possession looks great. And the stuff that I don't have, that I still have seen photos of from different conventions, and everybody I've talked to who's seen them has said, yes, they look amazing. And I can't wait to get a closer look once the final game is completely ready and in our hands. It's going to be an exciting one. Now, this is a game that can probably appeal a little bit more to the Armada player, but I think will definitely have some appeal to an X-Wing player as well, because of the fact that it is a pre-painted miniatures game in space. This one doesn't revolve strictly around combat, though. While it can involve combat, it also has missions. It has the option to do a campaign. Not every mission will involve phasers and photon torpedoes, much as is the case with Star Trek. Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. This one does kind of take place during the Dominion War of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and it is going to just have so many different things you can do. It may end up being a little bit rules heavy once you get all the way into it, but at least based on the introductory mission that I've played, it seems like it's going to gradually ease you in there without trying to front load all of the rules on you right away. Either way, it looks like it can offer a lot of different things to a lot of different player types, and can be an exceptional amount of fun. And it's got a great development team behind it and beautiful miniatures, and it's Star Trek too. So for me, it's an easy win. Definitely something to keep your eye on. For Armada fans also, let's talk about Drop Fleet Commander. This is a game I had talked a lot about a couple of years ago. Haven't talked a whole lot about lately. This one is one that had a lot of interest for me for a little while, and I've kind of gotten away from. There is supposed to be a new rule set coming out. So let's talk about some of the really cool things. There are multiple factions. This does involve you having to build out the miniatures, though. The ships do come on a frame. So Legion players might be interested in that, or hobbyist players that don't mind having to assemble and build ships might like that. Now, I will say, for folks who don't like painting, spaceship games, especially capital ship games, tend to be a little bit more forgiving because of the fact that a lot of spaceships can easily just be kind of primed in gray, and then you put a black wash on them and they're 90% done. Maybe you drop a little blue in there for the engine glow, or red in there for the engine glow. And if you want to take it up and kick it up a notch and add extra like racing stripes and things like that, you can. I find big ship type games to be very easy to paint. So if that's something you're thinking about, definitely keep it in mind. They're supposed to be having a new edition coming out, I believe this year, and so it might be an interesting time to get into Drop Fleet Commander. It's one of those games I've definitely wanted to get into. Reading over the rules, we've kind of played an introductory game, but never really a full game. It has some very cool mechanics, whereas you have like flight groups. So instead of just like moving one ship, because you can have a lot more ships than you would have in X-Wing or Armada, but instead of having to move them one at a time, you can move a whole group. And so, like, this is a group of like 3 or 4 or 5 ships. Well, they all get to move, yet they all get to fire individually. So it definitely speeds up gameplay and allows you to have a full armada of ships that don't take all day to move around and to take your actions with. There's also really cool rules about when a ship explodes. It can potentially trigger a massive explosion that can damage nearby ships. If those ships happen to be weak enough, then it could cause a chain reaction of blowing up and blowing up and blowing up. It has a lot of really cool rules, things like that make it exceptionally cool to check out. Although this one isn't necessarily as popular, as widely popularized as X-Wing or Armada were, at least here in the United States, I still think it's got a lot of staying power, and with a new edition on the horizon, it's definitely something to keep your eye on. Moving forward, one I really like, and it's going to probably appeal a little bit more to the X-Wing players than the Armada players, but still some for both, Snap Ships Tactics. This was a toy line that eventually turned into a tabletop miniatures game that really scratches the X-Wing itch. It has some very cool, clever mechanics and deals with energy management that allow you to kind of say, have some turns where you go all out and spend everything, and other turns where you kind of slow down and spend a little bit less and kind of make up for it. It has larger ships, but you build them. It's like, they have these bricks and you get to build your ship, and and if you want to have this extra big heavy laser cannon on your ship, you actually put the heavy laser cannon physically on the ship in the little in like the Lego, not the Lego, the Eggo, in the Lego. You put it in the waffles, and yeah, I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm leaving that in. It's a really cool, like, building the ships is so much fun, and so the fact that you're having fun before you even start playing the game is a really cool part of this. It's got a great starter box that gets you playing right away. It doesn't also, it's cool because it doesn't saturate you with stuff you don't need. Like bases, most games are like only 2 ships versus 2 ships, or maybe 3 ships versus 3 ships. So not every ship comes with a base. You just buy a base kit, you buy the materials that you're going to need, and then you just buy the ships that you won't get overloaded with extra components as well. Really cool, and they have a future lined up for this one as well. I believe there's another campaign for another wave in the works right now, although I don't have a timeline for it. But either way, it's really, really fun, and it's not yet oversaturated. It's still in its early kind of phase. It's still fairly early in its lifespan. So if you wanted to get in on the ground floor, you can still do that, because there's not that much out there for this game right now, but the possibilities of you building ships are virtually endless. And I've covered this game quite a bit. It definitely, I'm not done talking about it. So very cool game. I'm sure you're gonna love it. Moving forward into the realm of dudes on a map, because I know there are some Legion players that are also unsure of the future. Even though I think Legion's got a strong future, you may still want to branch out a little bit. Mantic has Halo Flashpoint coming later this year. Now, this game looks super cool. If you've ever wanted to have Halo on your tabletop and kind of recreate that Halo deathmatch sort of experience, this is a really cool, streamlined way to play. It does come with pre-colored miniatures, so if you don't want to paint, you don't want to have to build your miniatures, your dudes are going to be ready to play straight out of the box. Although you're certainly encouraged to paint them, but you don't have to. You're going to have red Spartans and you're going to have blue Spartans, and there's different versions too, because you can get more the deluxe version that also has some like Covenant dudes in there as well, and so there's all kinds of there's extra stuff that you can get as well. But I think Spartans and Master Chief and stuff like that are going to be really cool to paint up. But you don't have to, because they're already red versus blue. And again, that's a nice throwback to Red versus Blue, one of the first ever internet video series based on a game. Very, very cool stuff. But it looks like it's such a cool system, and basically the introductory videos that they've put out for this instantly sold me on it. It looks like it's going to be simple and very, very fun, and it's going to come with some terrain as well. And I really like everything about this. It looks really exciting. This one's I believe supposed to come out later this year. Really looking forward to it. Mantic, I hope you just hit a complete home run with this, because I'm very excited. So definitely keep your eye on this one, regardless of what type of games you play. I think this will be a fun one. And probably my favorite game out of all of these is Cyberpunk Combat Zone. Now, this what you've seen me play on the channel a little bit has been Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone. There's so much life in this game system, and it is also still in its relatively early phase. So if you were looking to get into a game system kind of at entry level, this is a great time to get into Cyberpunk Combat Zone. So a little bit about this. If you're a fan of Cyberpunk at all, you're going to love this. If you don't know anything about Cyberpunk, no problem. This is a wide open system. First off, it's called the reaction system, how they power this game. You've got actions you can take, and they're either going to be green or yellow or red. Green is typically best, yellow's in the middle, red is typically like the most desperation. Like if it's a movement, think of you can move red, or you can move yellow, which is farther, or you can move green, which is all the way. If you equate that to like short range, medium range, and long range for X-Wing or Armada or something like that, or range 1, range 2, and range 3 for Legion, although it's not really. I'd say green is probably the equivalent of, it's about a foot, right? So that's about a full range 2 is about, but that's just movement. The dice are D12 for green, and I believe it's a D8 for yellow and a D6 for red, and so you're going to have higher numbers if you're like attacking with a green action. And as you take damage, those greens and yellows, they downgrade to like red, and so your higher numbers start to get weaker. So your characters start to get a little bit weaker as they start to take damage, and so it's very cool the way that works, and it allows for so many different possibilities. The other thing that's cool about this is, depending on what time zone or time frame you like, rather, for Cyberpunk, what era, I would say, there's something for you. If you've seen the Netflix Edge Runners, awesome anime, they just put out pre-orders for Cyberpunk Edge Runners Combat Zone, and it's fully compatible with this Combat Zone. So yes, you can take any reaction Combat Zone game and pair it up against others. There's also a vehicles Kickstarter going on right now, and so again, if you just dudes on a map is one thing, but there's also going to be vehicles, and you can like have vehicles ram into each other, and vehicular combat and all kinds of stuff like that. So this game is growing. It is becoming more and more, and it has such great potential to be sort of whatever you want it to be. But I mean, it's really like a dudes on a map game. It has standalone games. It's can work with those skirmish level kind of OP and tournaments, but it also works as a campaign. I'm currently playing through a campaign right now and loving every minute of it. This game is absolutely here to stay, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for it. It's very, very fun, and makes excellent use of terrain, makes excellent use of quick back and forth play, has a great system, and this same reaction system can also apply to other games, allowing for some really interesting crossovers, although I don't know if they'll all be tournament legal or not, but I'm sure you could potentially do all kinds of interesting stuff, like, well, I don't want to spoil too much of stuff that's coming out soon, but Monster Fight Club makes this, and they have some really cool stuff lined up for the not too distant future. So definitely check them out. I'm going to put links for all of these games down in the video description below, so you can check out them and learn a little bit more. And hopefully, maybe I piqued your interest in at least one of these 5 games that we've talked about today. Again, I don't think there's any reason to stop playing your current games if you haven't already, but if you do want to branch out and experiment with a little bit more, hopefully you found something here that piques your interest. That's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. You can also keep the discussion going in our Discord. We have links for all of that stuff down below. Don't forget to check it out. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world, and you guys help make this channel possible, so I can't thank you enough for your continued support. I will talk to you all soon. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. So say we all. And always wash your socks.